Today on Storyline, it's the weirdest episode ever! Welcome to Storyline, the show where you get to watch three aspiring filmmakers learn how not to make a feature-length film. I'm your host, Ben Howe, and today...
Where are we, Ben?
We're in a hotel in Boston, James. Working hard. Very hard.
Indubitably.
Seriously though, today on Storyline we show you what happens when the resistance beats us.
I must break you.
There's a ton of work going on over at 3 Ring right now. We're launching a new animated show called The Science Source. Oh, plus I took a new job. James. Hey. But really these are all just excuses. At the end of the day, the resistance beat us. Unfortunately, there's no new movie content to show you this week. Pretty bummed about that. However, we have finished, well, TJ's almost done writing Act 2, and by the end of next week, Act 3 should be completely done.
It's super cool.
James.
Yeah.
Get out.
Okay.
3-year-old. What you're about to see is the pre-production, the conceptual meeting where we actually sort of gave birth to the scene that we released, episode 9, just this most recent one. And
Make it rain.
Playa. At the point where we had this meeting, this scene only existed as a note card that said they recorded the song. I think it's pretty cool to look back at it and remember the way the conversation went and then draw parallels to what actually ended up happening in the scene. I think TJ did a really brilliant job of bringing together all the different ideas that we threw out and not including the really bad ideas.
And there's one.
There's one really bad idea.
There's one really bad idea.
We've laughed about it a lot.
You should try and find out what it is.
Okay, so new game. Guess the bad idea.
I think that especially the way that I'm going to write it in the past, Morgan misses Ellen. He liked working with her.
Yeah, I think that's great.
And I told you about the moment that they need to have.
Morgan and Ellen?
Yeah. About the, she shows up with her blue guitar to the rehearsal, or maybe the studio, and doesn't have anything.
Has to borrow a pick.
She has to borrow a pick.
Yeah.
And so she goes, Morgan, do you have a pick? And he hands her one, and then she's about to go sit down to play because she doesn't have a strap, and then Morgan just hands her a strap.
We see the connection with her mother. We see that she's not happy where she is right now. So we want her to come around. And so there's that tension. And so the whole thing is about basically the song bringing Ellen back, bringing old Ellen back.
Right.
At what point does Ellen break?
Yeah.
Like, in her face, we're reading
I know where it is.
She's,
It's in the bridge. It's in the bridge. If you don't, and once again, your guilt has found its way inside my head, and I could face this a little easier if you'd only tell me why.
Oh, great way to introduce that things haven't been going well, because bands never, ever, and it's one of the problems with band music now, they never record at the same time like they used to. Like Led Zeppelin would just plug in inside of a room and just record everybody at the same time. So that's how we're going to have to film this. We can't, it would be boring if we have the
drum tracks.
Drum track,
bass
and
track,
bass track. So what we're going to have to do is, they just walk in and and engineers just like, well, who are we recording first? And they're like, no, we need to rehearse a couple more times because it's not going too well. And then that way that way it's a reason for them to all play together, and the engineer runs tape.
Or they could just say, no, we record together. Who can be a leader in that scene that say, no, we don't, we play together. That's who we are.
Maybe Kenny.
Yeah, maybe Kenny.
Or we use through the soundproof glass trick for Morgan.
That could be David trying to win favor back, and that it doesn't work because he's trying to get them to like him again, and his character probably feels like he has the power to say that. And maybe that'd be an opportunity for David to try and win favor back by giving him that line, and it doesn't work. They still don't like him because he would probably have the authority to make that call and say, no, listen. But I mean, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, one way or another. I mean, I think David taking a stand. David is here on behalf of the record company, let's just say that the studio is the record company's studio.
He's
right?
he's Darth Vader for the Empire, and
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right.
He needs to come back.
But David, I think, needs to be in charge of the recording session.
The other thing I think the scene needs at the end is a decision.
Right. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the end of Act 1.
I'm debating. You know, Kenny says this could be like a last hurrah, or that was a line. And so the way Ellen is approaching this is, even after it goes well, she's like, well, that was fun, bye. And then the song, they release it on iTunes or whatever, and it just explodes. And so now the studio's like, we want you guys to record a whole album. Mm-hmm. And so the decision is Ellen saying, all right, we'll do the whole album. Because the first one is a non-commitment. It's just, okay, we're going to record the song, get in, get it over with, and get out. And so it could be this, but it could also be like 3 scenes down the line where she says,
"Yeah, let me argue for
the stereotypes are back."
Let me argue first to not go down that road for several reasons. One, it feels like a repeat of the opening scene. Oh, it's blown up on iTunes now, and we've just already been there. Secondly, that means if it's here and now, Ellen's making a decision because of music, because of relationships, because of camaraderie. If she makes it later when the studio's like, oh, we want more, it's financial. It's less human, less likable, less, and so, and also I'm just done with Act 1.
I mean, by that point, we'll be at the 30-minute plus mark by the time we get to
because we have 2 more scenes.
2 more scenes.
Recap is 21 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's almost 30. This will be 35. We're just like I just think we need to get to Act 2. And another thing, when we talked, we were trying to have a meeting about beefing up our antagonism and finding an end. What I'm seeing is at the beginning of the scene, there's an opportunity for them to sign on for the rest. They're like, listen, we just want to sign you right now before, like, you don't even have to record. We're just this is just doing so well already.
Walks out, signs the paper.
Yeah, well, no,
everybody else signs it, and then they finish, and they're like, that's fun, they say their goodbyes, and she's like left alone, and then she signs the paper in Act 1.
And they Act 2 is just they lose and lose and lose and lose.
Yeah.
And Ellen loses the most.
Just
John August says, I want them to lose their hands. Yeah. And I when I heard, I was like, oh, that's a nice figurative statement, John. I was like, wait, Star Wars, he loses his hand. They just chop it right off.
That was intentional.
Not just his hand, his lightsaber hand. The one.
I kind of need that.
I like the contract thing. I think we kind of need to figure out structurally
we still need to
what a legitimate record company excuse for that MacGuffin kind of thing is. Why are they coming to the studio? Are they coming to record one song and then... I think the contract thing is the exact right angle to go. I love the signing the contract. That says, hello, end of Act 1. Yes, we're committed.
It could be like
it's an irreversible decision. So they're here to do a single, basically. That's all that they have contracted to do. They've already signed a deal for one.
And then the studio's like, we've heard some of your older songs.
What if Reggie comes in to the recording session and he's in the booth, and Reggie, after they're done, comes in and says, if David's on board, let's do this. Let's do a record, and I can drop the paperwork right now.
I have it right
here. I can.
Oh, what's this?
Like smoke.
Yeah.
A little bit of flame, probably in red lettering, maybe blood, who knows?
And they're all on the emotional high, having just done the song again. Oh, yeah. Maybe that's the way to structure it. I mean, that's just the business transaction side of it.
But I also like the idea of Ellen kind of holding out and being like, I need to think about it, and they kind of leave, and then we could almost have a parallel of that first scene where she's in the studio by herself, only this one ends with her signing the contract.
Interesting thought.
And then I could have my lawyer cousin drop something that looks real, and then there could be one clause that we want to say something, we could like do a slow zoom into that or something.
You're asking the audience to read a lot of
Yeah.
legal jargon.
It's
if you're-
true.
but-
I think all it takes is Reggie and David behind the glass, and you don't hear what they're saying. They're just talking to each other, and then end scene or something like that. So
something
anyways.
like that.
But I feel like we have a good thing. Go write it now.
Yeah, go write that.
All right.
So hopefully in 2 more weeks we should have some more new movie content to show you. Until then, fight the resistance.
Fight the resistance. Fight the resistance. Fight it.
Oh, you are the resistance! I will fight you! So hopefully in a couple weeks, will have gathered up all the money. in the
It's
hotel.
so much
like-
money.
there's
it's
like-
going to take several weeks.
Do that one more time.
Can you see me?